Welcome into the Sports Objective, very special show as we have Bubba Rosenbaum here and a guy that I've liked a long time, going over 20 years. I got to start in Raleigh in 1998 and now does the Adam Gold Show. It's actually a syndicated show across the state of North Carolina on the North Carolina News Network Sports Network. And Adam, thanks, man. Appreciate you so much. I see you chilling there in the porch.
Yeah, at some point you'll see horses walk in the background because my wife is a horse person. So you may see him, you may not. She might be riding for all I know. I'm happy to be here. By the way, Bubba has never looked so good.
He's got a face for radio, so
perfect.
You know what's the radio guys? We know about that. Wanted to have you on. There's so many things to talk about. Want to get your take. I guess we could start talking about. We were talking right before hockey.
Sure.
Want to get your take. I'm a huge Hurricanes fan, going all the way back to the time the team moved here. Very happy to have them in my home area of the Raleigh-Durham area. Want to get your take on the 2014 proposal for the playoffs, and what are your take on that?
Actually, I don't mind it. 24 teams. Look, there was about teams had anywhere from 10 to 14 games left in the season. There were some teams in the East that had 14 left. I think Carolina had 14 games left to play. Some in the West were already at 72 games played, so they only had 10 left. And there were enough teams close where they could have just ended the regular season and just said that those teams, sorry, you didn't have enough points or points per game. But schedules aren't the same, so I get what they did. You could also make the argument that Montreal.
Check upstairs. Jason Perry was calling. He told me 7:30.
You can also make the argument that Montreal adds something in terms of a market. They were the last team in the East. The Rangers, who Carolina will match up against, they're in there as well. Chicago's in the West, and they wouldn't have been in the playoffs. So maybe it's good for business, but I honestly don't. It doesn't bother me to have 24 teams in. It wouldn't bother me if they did this every year. Who doesn't like playoffs, man? Playoffs are great. I got no problem with it. I think it's kind of unbecoming in this climate, to use that term, to be complaining about the competitive aspect of this. We got games to play, possibly. We still don't know if we're going to play them. Let's go. Let's play. Let's have some fun and not worry about who got hosed by a certain, quirk here. I really don't think the Hurricanes are at a disadvantage at all.
Especially with the talent they have. They have a wonderful coach. I know that you know very well, Rod Vandermoor. Yeah. I mean, if you can't get up for that guy, I don't know. You don't deserve to be in the National Hockey League.
Rob Brind'Amour is one of the all-time special people, and I've really gotten to know and become friends with Rod. I mean, we don't hang out, so it's not like that. But I've gotten to know him as when he became an assistant. We kind of butted heads a little bit when he was a player. Not much, not like when he was a star, but like as he was coming to the end of his career. I mean, we talk on the radio about, all the time. We try to be honest, and it looked like Rod was kind of coming to the end of his career, and I said it because, frankly, I'm trying to be as honest as I can. And Rod took offense to that. So we didn't have an argument or anything like that. It's like, you counted me out at a end of year interview. But once Rod became an assistant, Rod and I have really kind of connected. It's a professional relationship, but we talk, and I can text him and ask him questions. And I know his family, and I mean, his wife's amazing. Amy, the former Amy Biedenbach. She's just a tremendous lady. And Rod is one of the best people I know. One of the things that struck me is that Rod cares so much about this team and where his now adopted hometown, that this was always going to work. And there were a lot of people who thought, well, a superstar, because Rod was a superstar.
Yeah.
Superstars don't make good coaches. I said, but you have to consider how Rod became a superstar. and the work ethic and the attention to detail and all of that stuff that Rod is famous for, that was always going to manifest itself in being a good head coach. He's a better head coach than I ever imagined. And I think he's one of the best in the sport. And I know this is going to sound weird. I don't care who the Hurricanes play. I think this team, even though it's not as good as some of the best teams, they can win a Stanley Cup because he has the ability to pull people together, unlike a lot of people I have never seen.
Absolutely. And do we have a timetable as far as like when they would start? I know it's a lot of ifs, like you said. That's a good question, right?
So there's three phases to not just hockey, but any sport starting up. There's three phases. There is the competitive phase, and they've gotten the competitive part taken care of in a way. They have outlined their plan. Then, of course, there's the logistics. We still don't know where they're going to play, and we
Right.
also don't know when they're going to play. They won't go to training camp before early July. So even when they get to training camp in early July, there's going to be a minimum of 2, probably 3 weeks before they'll be able to play. My guess is if everything goes well, by the end of July, they'll be in a hub city, which, by the way, they have not announced yet. And they'll start playing games either the very end of July or the beginning of August. Then, of course, there's the public health angle here. We have to get all of those things in place. But even in the competitive angle, we still don't know everything. We don't know if they're going to reseed after the qualifying round, or are they just going to put them in brackets and go? We don't know if the first 2 rounds of the actual playoffs, meaning the quarterfinals and the conference semifinals, we don't know if that's going to be best of 5 or best of 7 because they don't know how much time they'll have. I think they want to have the Stanley Cup Finals completed before the end of September. So I think they're going to try to get as many things as they can in between then the start and end of September. But there's still some things up in the air. But my guess is early August, first week in August.
Let's talk some NBA. I saw today where Disney World is going to open back up July the 11th. I heard July the 15th, everything will be open for Disney. Is that a precursor to? I heard the NBA. There's so much speculation out there, but I heard the NBA wouldn't play in a situation where there wouldn't be like fans around the complex, not inside the arena, but not in the good old cutting back and forth of the shots they have of like ABC with LeBron walking around Disney World. They wouldn't have LeBron in a Disney World with a mask on with nobody there. And so I don't know what the case may be, but I saw that today. I thought it was interesting and thought I'd bring it up to you tonight. Maybe that the NBA would be playing obviously in Disney World. That's more of a reality now.
Oh, I think that's where the NBA is looking. I saw some strange like worry that there's not enough available quality hotel rooms. I'm like, what are you talking about? There's a singular hotel with 2,000 rooms. Even if you brought all 30 teams together and said each team gets 50 people, which they wouldn't need 50 people, that's not the entire hotel. That's only 1,500 rooms if everybody had their own room. So there's plenty of hotel rooms. I think that's probably the best case scenario for the NBA is to bring everybody together. But I think they're going to start like the NHL. They're going to start with some playoff tournament, whether it's 16 teams or it's 20 teams. I think that's the way they're going to go as well, and that's fine. There's really no sense bringing teams back that aren't playing for anything unless you are going to complete the regular season. And the NBA, I don't believe, is interested in doing that, just like the NHL is not interested in doing that. So I think Major League Soccer is also is looking at going to Orlando for a kind of a kickoff tournament, if you will. So I think there's a lot of possibilities there.
What about something that's important to the Triangle? Obviously, is college football. How are you feeling about starting on time? Do you think it's delayed? Will we wear a mask? Am I going to have to wait 3 or 4 hours to get into a stadium? Okay, inquiring minds want to know.
All right, I don't think you'll have to be waiting 3 or 4 hours to get into a stadium because my guess is that at least in the early going, that's not going to be an option. I still think I'm waiting for a definitive word about whether or not we're going to have students on campus. And this is not, and to me, there's a difference between students on campus and students not being allowed to be on campus. And I feel like I almost have to say that because I've talked to enough people. I talked to Danny Cannell. He's like, wait, we practiced all the time without students on campus. I'm like, dude, that's not what I'm talking about. When like the California State University system, which has Fresno State and San Jose State and San Diego State, their chancellor said, students, you can't come back to campus in the fall. Everything is going to be done online. You can't possibly have football on campus if you can't have students on campus. I'm sorry, those two things just will not wash for me. So, and I don't think that will happen. I think that everybody wants as something as close to business as usual as we can get. I just don't know if we're going to be able to get that. I think there is a good chance that we'll have some limited on-campus life, and as long as there's that, I think there will be games. But I don't know if it's going to start on time. I do think that it's interesting that the major networks and the major conferences all delayed the release of the television schedule. Usually by now we get the first 3 weeks, or by June 1st, we get the first 3 weeks or 4 weeks of the college football schedule for television. And they have all delayed it until they get some more clarity. And we have places, you see what's going on in Alabama. They're just now getting into the pandemic. So we don't know what's going to happen.
No doubt about it. In fact, Phil Steele's pushed this back, his publication, I think, what is it,
No.
a month or so? Yeah, so that's not a good. I heard that a few weeks ago. We tried to see what he can get. He can come on, and it's going to be delayed. Normally, we have him on earlier than we're going to have him, so that's not a good sign. So
I used to wait by the mailbox for Phil Steele, and then I realized that I don't know what half the initials stand for anymore. So I'm like, I can't. And the print is too small. I'm getting old. I don't want to wear readers.
I know I'm in the same. I'm right there with you age wise, for sure. So let's talk about your show starting in March across North Carolina. Very excited for you.
Thank
And
you.
certainly there's a lot of people that in Pirate Nation and beyond that are part of our show. And certainly I want to give you an opportunity to get them to listen. You do a great job. My day job, unfortunately, I wish I was retired, but I know there's a podcast available, as you told me, as well on Apple and Stitcher and everywhere that we can listen to it.
Yeah, we do a best of the Adam Gold Show podcast. So for people who actually earn a living and can't be attached to their radio, although I shouldn't disparage anybody who earns a living by being in their car. And obviously those people have kind of been somewhat limited over the last couple of months. But yeah, we're on noon to 3. We're on 94.3 The Game in Greenville. We're very happy about that. We're on in Winston-Salem and Wilmington and Roanoke Rapids and Boone. And, we're all, you can pretty much hear us anywhere in the state of North Carolina, and that's good. I'm excited about kind of dipping my toe back into kind of pirate waters. It's always been my opinion that East Carolina probably should have been treated more like a home team and not just when they're good, right? Because when they're good, we love to talk about them because it's easy to talk about teams when they're good.
Right.
But when they weren't good, it's easy to forget too. But it's sometimes that's the time where you need to talk about them. My own experience is that state fans are never more vocal than when their teams are bad.
Yeah, that's true.
And I'm not looking for that. We don't take a ton of phone calls. It's not what the show is built around. We try to keep it moving. But, I thought it was a bad day. And I think, we talked about it, Dave, last week. I thought it was a bad day when ECU clipped 4 sports. Men's and women's tennis, men's and women's swimming and diving.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who wanted to and this is what they love doing, and they were getting an opportunity to do it at the college level. And it wasn't like most of these people were even on scholarship because they weren't. and App State just did the same thing. 15 scholarships, roughly 60 athletes. So it's the downside of what we talk about, but it's important. And I love the fact that baseball matters to East Carolina. I really do. I love that. So I'm good friends with Elliot Avent. I hope to become good friends with Coach Godwin, because any opportunity I have to talk baseball, heck, even if we talk big league baseball with Godwin and Avent, and I talk big league baseball with Avent all the time. That's good. That's good for me, and it gets these guys' names out there. So I hope to really do more of that, and kind of ingrain myself back into the ECU community that way. I love the passion for sports, especially football and baseball, and hopefully Coach Dooley will do something with basketball.
He is. Watch out. There's a lot of great guys, including Noah Farrakhan from New Jersey up Dooley's way, is a really good player. And we need more guys from your neck of the woods of Maryland, that Baltimore, that I-95 area, all the way up to New York City is a lot of great basketball. So hopefully we can do that. And Dooley is doing a great job, and certainly it'll be year 3 coming up for him. I think this is going to be a great year. And we have Coach Houston. I think it'll be not this year, but next year, year 3 with Holt Nailers being a senior. A lot of those great freshmen will be juniors. I think that's going to be the year that you're going to be talking about Pirate wins for sure, my friend.
I mean, it was a good hire too. I think Mike Houston had. I mean, you don't have to. The track record that he put out, I mean, that's awesome. So keep that up. And I mean, look, it's a place that loves football, and they will support good football for sure. On Friday I forgot the name. Ruffin McNeil's name slipped my head, and I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm getting old. And I didn't disagree with the firing of McNeil because recruiting had dropped off and all of that. But I did underestimate the power of firing somebody who was such a good human being, a good football coach, and an alum. And those things really conspired. And really, I think the real problem was the hire, more so than firing Ruffin McNeil. If you fire Ruffin McNeil, but then hire the right guy, and Scotty Montgomery wasn't the right guy, then maybe they're not in the position that they're in now, where season tickets are low and all of that. But Mike Houston will do a good job. He'll have that program back.
He certainly will. How can folks find you on social media before I let you go? Looking at the time, and I know you've been a long day, so I appreciate you. I know you want to rest on the back porch there.
No, I do. I am resting. I mean, there's a tornado about 2 miles north of us, so I'm glad it didn't show up. You know what? I really wanted to live my life natural disaster free. So far, so good. I have not had to deal with it. Again, show on noon to 3. The best of the Adam Gold Show podcast, Apple, wherever you get a podcast, subscribe to it so it shows up in your phone or wherever you get them. And you can follow me on Twitter at agoldfan. Very simple, AGOLDFAN. I treat Twitter like I would phone calls to a radio show. So if you tweet at me, I'll tweet back to you. It's that is my I'm not a follow back guy, but I am a tweet back to you kind of a guy. I like the engagement, so feel free.
All right, Adam, thank you so much, man. Look forward to having you back on. It's been fun to have you on. And
anytime.
Good luck to the Canes, and look forward to listening more of the podcast and your show when I'm off.
Hey, thank you very much, Dave. Good luck.
All right. Have a good one, man.
You got it.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. That's Adam Gold there, and I appreciate him very much being a part of the show here tonight. And ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you what, we're very excited about having the next guy on right here. And of course, that's Eric Graham. Eric, thank you so much.
Hey, no problem. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me, man. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Sound great, man.
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, man. I'm doing all right. How you guys doing?
Doing fantastic. Very excited, by the way. We had, of course, Adam Gold. Now we have Big E. You are you excited about football season? I'm going to put this out, and I personally think this is the kind of guy, and I know you and I are a lot alike. We're going to have football season until I hear them say we're not going to have football season.
Well, I really hope we do. I hope we do. I hope we figure out some type of way. I hope, we figure out a way to beat this virus, or at least slow it down a lot to where we can actually get back to somewhat of a norm somewhere around here.
No doubt about it. I tell you what, we've got a big thing. I want to put this up on here on the ticker for you. We got a big announcement. I want to get your thoughts on things. A big announcement, breaking news this afternoon came out of Greenville that we're going to be playing Old Dominion 6 times between over the next, I guess, decade, which I know some people may not think it's a sexy name in Old Dominion, but I think it makes perfect sense. I think it's a great regional rivalry. I think that it's a Conference USA team. And you know very well, being that I'm trying to think off the top of my head of athletes your era, but the 757's got a lot of great high school players, and it's an area that we really need to focus more on, in my opinion. It's the closest, it's the biggest university East Carolina is to the 757, and I think we've got a lot of athletes that would love to play and be in purple and gold, my friend.
Oh, there's just quite a few of them. I mean, I actually work in the 757, so when I'm up there, you see a lot of pirate flags on cars. So people have moved up to the Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Chesapeake area and are living there. And it's an extremely talent-rich area. I know when I played, we had several guys from the 757, and then we dropped off a little bit when we went through the John Thompson area, where Florida became a big place to go. And we kind of forgot about the roots of Eastern North Carolina in the 757 area for a while. So we're getting back to it. Hopefully we'll be able to snatch some good guys out of there. And us playing Old Dominion, it's going to be cost efficient as well. So, I mean, you're taking a bus up versus having to fly somewhere. Your same day. I mean, essentially they could stay down here and drive up the morning of if they chose to, if it's a night game or something. So I think it's a good round. I think it's a good thing for both sides. They get to play somewhat of a bigger school to show their skill set, and then we get to play someone that is around our skill set. We should be a little bit better than them. But as far as I said, it's cost efficient with what things are going on. We got to be in our savings as much as possible with the things that are going on now. So it's a good game.
No doubt about it. One of the things I want to tell people is to breathe in Pirate Nation. Everything's going to be great. I tell you what, and I know we had Billy Weaver on last week that said, patience, grasshopper. I think that's one thing that's been very tough, Big E. I want to get your take. We we talked to you before about the thing that's hard for me as an alum and someone who was a fan from Eastern North Carolina. I take great pride in our athletics program. The fact that we've had 5 straight losing seasons is really, really hard for me. At the same time, when you look at the way the program is going with the direction, look at the coaches. How about look at I have never followed recruiting as much as I have under Mike Houston. This is so out of my norm, just like COVID is way out of my norm, all the crazy stuff going on there. The recruiting has been something that has been very fascinating to watch with this coaching staff. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge Twitter guy, but I'm on there, and I do believe that the guys are posting where they're at, where they're going. It seems like the coaches are all over the place. I know I tried to give Coach Shankweiler a call the other night, and he was like 9, 10 o'clock at night. And he was like, I'm on some recruiting calls right now. So I'm just like, man, you've got the old man working this late at night. So I guess it's a good thing. I mean, hopefully we'll be able to snag some guys and get them down here. I know, our fan base and our win-loss record is kind of, probably hurting recruiting a little bit, but I think these good coaches and their sales pitches should bring in some. And then especially having some of those second chance guys that are transferring in from these big universities, that's going to help and entice some of the other guys to come. So I think Coach Houston and the coaching staff has something good going. Hopefully we can improve while some other teams drop down a little bit, but hopefully we'll be able to put it together and make it work.
I want to give you, by the way, fans, if you're on Facebook Live tonight, you can ask Big E questions. He's the expert, not me. I'm just a guy here, a fan of Big E. So we want to bring in Mike Radford, who is obviously a great Pirate and an alum, and he has a question when we're talking about the 6 games with certainly with Old Dominion announced today. Breaking news if you're just joining us over the next decade. Mike Radford asks, shouldn't we do the same with App State? What's your thoughts on that, my friend?
Well, I would say he's probably got a point. He's probably got a point. I don't know what the distance is for that travel. or whatnot. But I do believe that moving
About
forward,
5 hours, I think, something like that.
I
5
think it's
hours,
about
maybe.
5 hours, which honestly is kind of rough as far as the driving in a bus. But at the same time, do we really warrant to be able to catch flights 5 hours? I mean, we probably need to go back to those rough, string it out type days and just have to catch that bus ride. I mean, but we probably should do that with App State. I don't necessarily know if we're prepared for that because App State gets a lot of guys that are coming from other D1s, and they're very talented. I honestly don't know if we're necessarily better than App State right now. That's an honest, opinion of mine, but I do believe it probably should happen. App State probably should be a must game.
I think so. It was going back, I know in the 70s, before my time, there was the SoCon with the Southern Conference. We were big rivals back then. It's an in-state game. I think people from the old school would appreciate it. I think that fan base of App State is so rabid when it comes to football. Yeah. And when we have I know that we have games in Greenville. I'm very excited to go to Boone. Some people are crazy. Boone is a great town, and we'll be going to there. One time they have us here in Greenville. We have the neutral site game. I know coming up there I was getting ready at Bank of America Stadium where the Panthers play. So I think that for both fan bases, that particular, I have no problems with App State. I don't know why people are so worried about App State as far as, like it's not a sexy pick. I think it's a great game for both clubs.
I think it's more of are we going to beat them? Because on paper, if you sit there and say the universities in the history, we're supposed to beat them. But the scare is more of if we're going to win or lose. I think is what it is. Personally, I'm not a fan of those neutral games, man. I'd rather just play in the college atmosphere. Yeah, home and make it fair. I mean, let's fill the stadium there. Let's attempt to fill it here, back and forth, back and forth. That Charlotte is just such a drag because you're not going to have more than 20, 30,000 people at most, and then the stadium hosts 60. So it's going to look crazy. Let's go to Boone. Let's experience what it's like to be in Boone.
Yeah, I think that the times have changed back when maybe your era and then certainly in the 90s, my era, that was kind of a cool thing to do. And I don't know that that's as far as college football is concerned with all the networks. My God, if you can sit home and when we don't have the home games, you have the away games. And I have my satellite. It's so many games. It's overwhelming how many games are on. Where before, when I was growing up, I joke with the guys in the late 70s, early 80s, it was maybe 4 football games on the entire Saturday. And now with all the games on, I don't think you have to worry about the exposure anymore that you do, but like you did then that you do now. We've got plenty of exposure for East Carolina. Don't get me wrong. I like the big game atmosphere, but I agree with you. If we can have a home game in Greenville, or we can go to Boone and play them there. That's a great stadium, a great atmosphere, a great fan base. It's not like going, no offense, because they brought the team back. But back in the day, I remember our guys going to UAB. It was rough, not a fan base there. And the other one was playing in the Superdome against Tulane. And it seats 1 million people, and you got like 3,000 people there. It is quiet like a library, man. You're trying to play a football game.
It's like a half-mile walk from the locker room to the field down in playing Tulane. But I remember Tulane, you can literally hear the coaches talking to you from the sideline with no problem. So yeah, but it definitely would be a little bit fair for App State and for us. I believe it'd probably be better for us to go back and forth.
No doubt, great guy from the Bill Lewis days. Big E, Zion Kumalai, up in the great state of Michigan. He's a proud alum and played in the Peach Bowl. He's saying, of course, App State is a solid program. Like you said, do you remember when they beat the University of Michigan? So they've had the national championships. They've won under different coaches. This is the third coach in 3 years this year. So amazing stuff. And we'll see if they can continue that nice run they've had.
Yeah, but if we get to playing them, let's hope they don't continue that nice run.
No doubt about it. We're very excited to have you on. Talk about, I've got to take a break for a minute, but talk about certainly the Pirates for a couple minutes. I've got a little bit of an emergency, but talk a couple minutes about what you think about Mike Houston and the staff this upcoming season, and I'll be right back. I apologize.
All right. Well, I'll say dealing with Coach Houston, I've had an opportunity to meet him a few times, and Coach Houston seems to be a guy that's all about business, and you got to have that mentality. I think he understands the task that he signed up for, and I believe that's why he has some of the coaches that are on his staff. I mean, he has young, energetic guys, and he has older, experienced guys as well. So, with those guys being around to help support him on this mission, I mean, they got a really steep hill to climb. I mean, I know I've talked to multiple coaches on that staff, and they're really working. Like some of them feel like there's like they started all the way over, where at this point in their careers where they should be a little bit more relaxed, but they're having to work as if they're, graduate assistants again and, first to 10-year type guys that have experience. But, I believe we're going to be trending upwards. I do believe some scheduling is going to have to be in place where scheduling helps us out to where we can sneak a few wins in the beginning for a little bit of motivation. For some games might have to be played where we're playing people that are a little bit lesser than us, so that way we can get our right fits, right techniques, get the scheme down and see what it's supposed to look like. So when we start playing guys that are equally talented or more talented than us, we'll still have an idea how to do it and when to do it. And, guys can have that camaraderie and know what it's like to finish a game. And I think that's one of the biggest things we're going to have to continue to battle towards is finishing games, playing all 4 quarters, all phases of the game. Offense, defense, special teams are going to have to play together, and then come fourth quarter, we need to be in the game, winning the game, or closing out the game to give us a chance moving forward. I believe some of our weak spots probably have gotten a little bit better. I'm sure the COVID situation is not helping anybody as far as training. I'm sure there's going to be some guys that are training just like they're here on campus or working out underneath the coach, and there's going to be some guys that are being lazy. But hopefully that's something that's people are doing at all universities where some people are working, some are being lazy. Hopefully we got more workers than we do lazy guys. And I think us getting the chance to bring in some bigger bodies up front on offense and defensive side of the ball will help us out a lot. The experience of the guys that played last year coming in under Coach Shankweiler and learning the scheme with Coach Kirkpatrick calling the offense, things like that another year under the belt is going to help. I know some of the guys that are locally, I'm not going to say names or whatnot, but I know they've been getting work in since COVID started. They've been getting work in with local guys that are around here, guys going to different schools. So I would say the Pitt Greenville guys that went to high school in this area have really been working with each other. And that's good to see, even though guys are at different universities or going different ways, that they're working together to make sure that they, represent the area of Eastern North Carolina very well, no matter what university they're at. So they're working together to get better. And like I say, I just really hope that we're able to outwork the other teams and other schools that we're playing while we're dealing with this pandemic.
No doubt about it. I don't know if Bubba's back, but we'll see in a second. Bubba, you there?
I am.
All right. Do you have a question for Big E?
Yeah, I was going to ask Big E. Obviously, offensive line is your baby. So just talk about. You mentioned some of those grad transfers coming in. Justin Chase, the grad transfer from NC State, who Coach Shankweiler had familiarized himself with when he was an analyst there.
Mm-hmm.
And then also you have Avery Jones. So maybe we can get him eligible, transferring in with 3 years left to play, coming in from the University of North Carolina. So with those guys and then some of the returners that you saw last year, just talk about your feelings and just what you've seen from the offensive line.
Well, they are led by a solid coach without a doubt. And I'm not trying to say that to be biased. I just know the guy works really, really hard. And if you got anybody that's willing to work hard for you, you got a chance to get better. You want to be excited about transfers coming in, but at the same time, they're still new to the system. They're new to this area. They're new to the way that the Pirates are going to do things coming from different schools. So they still have to adjust. So it kind of still levels it out, but they potentially have higher upside depending on the talent level. So I'd like to see how they get together. And like I said, the COVID is in the way, where these guys should have been in, being able to get the camaraderie amongst guys, create new friendships, brotherhoods, and things of that nature amongst the offensive line. So hopefully that all that stuff can still happen whenever they do get a chance to get together full time. And I look forward to it. I mean, naturally, you got guys coming from programs that are winning, or they played and have some experience that they can come in with maybe a chip on their shoulder to prove a point. If maybe they left their university because of lack of playing time, then they want to prove a point that they are good enough to be starters. So, I mean, I think with Coach Shankweiler being there and some returning guys and some of the experience that they've gained. They've learned their coaches. They've learned the strength coach. They've learned how to eat. They've learned how to work out. There's so many things these young guys had to learn. So hopefully 1 year of experience under this whole new regime that they'll be able to put it all together, and the offensive line will become a strength of the team versus people always pointing out them for being a weakness. I truly understand how it might feel, because at one point in time when I was playing, we were the weakness of the team, and there's no shame in that. It's just you got to have some honor in it and work your butt off to get to where you need to be, to where now you're not the laughing stock, but you're the praise every week. So we'll be able to do it. We're Pirates, so we'll figure it out.
Big E, sticking with the offensive side of the ball, and you talk about how we have some explosiveness, really showed that toward the end of last season, those first 2 games in November against Cincinnati and SMU, both of which ended up being narrow losses. Holton threw for a ton of yards. Then you had guys like Tyler Snead, C.J. Johnson, Blake Kroll. They really rose to the forefront. All 3 of those guys finished the season with 50-plus catches. So just talk about some of the pieces we have at the skill positions offensively and what you've seen there, and just kind of our evolution last year and how much we improved on the offensive side.
You know what's good to see about that group is the fact that now you have household names outside of Holton, who's local, so his name is going to be out there. But now you have guys that you have something to talk about. I know you go back a year or 2 ago, I'm just like, after Zay Jones left, I'm like, who's the guy to talk about? Like, who's the one guy to say, hey, you remember the old college football game, they used to put the star underneath the player's feet. And as now you actually get to do that and sit there and say, okay, this is a guy to watch. This is a guy to watch. So that's a good thing. And I think those guys have been working together. I mean, I'm sure Prohl is he has a little bit of DNA and his dad with the gym that he has back home that he's probably getting work in. I'm pretty sure Holton and CJ have had opportunities to get together and work. I don't think Snead is far from this area, if I'm not mistaken. So the guys probably have been getting some work in together that's going to continue to build on the success that they did have. And like I said before, we just got to end up closing games. If we learn how to close games, with those few extra wins that we would have got, that group looks that much better. But, it's kind of rough to say, hey, you had great games in a losing effort. But hopefully we can turn great games into winning efforts because of their great play and their chemistry that they're building over, the year of experience. So I think the explosiveness will continue to grow. The run game obviously can help out. I believe having some of the guys back and healthy and bringing in those new backs that are coming in, transferring in, that's going to definitely help. And the offensive line is going to help the run game, which is in turn is going to help the passing game. So we have nowhere else to go but up. And, I mean, it's a challenge, but I think we'll do it. You still there, Bubba?
I am sorry. That's what I'm on the road. I have my phone muted for a moment, but no, kind of transitioning. You talk about closing out games, shifting over to the defensive side of the ball. Obviously, new defensive coordinator coming in, Blake Harrell, somebody that Coach Houston is extremely familiar with, having that connection from both Lenore Ryan and then also the Citadel. So just talk about your thoughts on the defensive side of the ball. We lost a ton on the defensive line, weren't extremely deep there to begin with, and then the guys that we did have on that first wave played the majority of the snaps last year, and now they're gone. And I know here when we had Coach Houston on back at the beginning of the month, he said that I think it was something crazy like only 35 snaps returning on the defensive front.
And as shocking as it might be, and it might sound a little bit scary, but at the same time, those guys actually have motivation to prove a point. They have a point to prove. They're going to play with chips on their shoulders, and then they're going to probably let it all out. I mean, you're going to have those unsung heroes that are going to show up, and then eventually, before the season's over, we're going to have that household name player up front. It's just that it's just going to be an unfamiliar group for us as fans and spectators, that we're going to be like, who's this guy? Who's that guy? But somebody's going to stick out. I mean, Harvey wasn't the most popular guy until he showed up and then showed out. We didn't know who he was. We didn't talk about him. So it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. The new D coordinator coming in, I believe, is, he seems to be a very energetic guy. And like you said, ideally he understands what Coach Houston wants. And I do believe that it's going to bring some type of life to the group on the defensive side of the ball. So I look forward to seeing what they come up with. And offense can also help defense out as well. I'm an offensive minded guy. People say defense wins championships, but if you score a lot of points, you can win too.
And we bring in Kyle from LaGrange Barber. What's up, dude?
What's going on, fellas? Better late than never, I guess.
No doubt about it. Hey, Big E, do you think you should run around do some 300s right now?
Who, me?
No, Kyle for being late. Not you.
I was about to hang up right now. But I think we should probably make him do about 600 flights on the step mill or something like that.
No, I'm telling you what, dude. Between my weight and my knees, even like 6 flights on the steps, I'd be like, I'm gone. I'm dead. Eric, I don't know what all we've touched on yet. Obviously, I'm just now joining the program, but what are your thoughts on the? I'm sure it's been talked about, but do you have any thoughts on the 2 news items from East Carolina, the dropping of the sports and the Old Dominion series?
Well, the dropping of sports is unfortunate, and you feel for the athletes that are affected. But at the same time, I hate to say it like this, but I wish the football team was winning a little bit more, and I think this wouldn't happen if that was the case, obviously.
Sure.
But at the same time, you can't sit there and point at the football players and say it's all your fault that we don't have these teams anymore, because it's not. There were some admin decisions that affected the university just as much as the players' lack of success on the field. And then I say it sucks, but it makes really, really good sense the way they explained it about I don't know if you guys have been over to the pool area. It is probably needing to be updated, but for them to spend the money to do it and then maintain the sport is probably not best for the university financially. The tennis programs, it was tennis, right? If I'm not mistaken. Yeah. The tennis programs, I don't want to knock those guys at all. They're student athletes. The coaches have families and things of that nature. And that's the part that I hate the most, man. It's the fact that they have families and these kids came here for a reason. And now they're having to leave, and they probably had friends here, or they got to make a decision to give up the sport. And I don't care who you are. If you played a sport at a high level, it's hard to let it go and say, okay, I no longer can do it. But there's one thing to not be able to do it because of injury, aging out, or running out of eligibility, but instead someone saying, hey, we're just not going to have your sport anymore. It's a slap in the face at the end of the day, but big business is always going to control almost everything. And this university is a big business at the same time. And it sucks. And I pray for those kids and those coaches and their families, and hopefully that they can bounce back and find a home where they can still compete. Or if they decide not to compete, I hope they can still come through and graduate as Pirates with a smile on their face, the student athletes, and still know that they're very important people and they've done something special, regardless if it was cut short.
Well, I'll tell you that Rick Kobe and that crowd from swimming, you're not going to count them out yet, and they're raising the money for it. I think I'll tell you this right now. If they raise the money for it, then Gilbert needs to bring that sport back. If they raise all the money for that sport, I think they do. I don't know about tennis. I don't think has the tradition that swimming does. 26 championships, 2 national championships. I think it's 66 years going down the drain. I understand big business, but I think the big element that we have right now, guys, is that as far as administration is concerned, including the board of trustees, the word trust, we don't have trust right now. And it's unfortunate that we can't trust. And I'm hoping that from this, that they will see that the swimming is a big deal, including the community. There's a lot of people that use that pool, that pay to rent that pool. And there's money. I agree with Coach Kobe. 35 years he's been with the program is down the drain. And they may not agree with me, but I think the problem we have, Eric, Big E, is that we don't have a plan. I've been saying that all along, and we're just reacting. We keep reacting under comfort, and we're continue to react instead of being proactive. And when we had this university, when it went Division I, we were proactive. And now over the years, it's just it keeps going away and away and away. And I'm hoping to see that for our sake, those of us that are alums and fans of the university, when these people are gone, we're still going to be here, but we have to live with their decisions and the effects of what they've done.
Yeah. Well, where are they raising money at? Because I would like to make a donation. I ain't rich, but I want to put something towards it, because I would like to see them keep the sport because they're probably the most winning program that we have in the recent in the recent history. The swim team and baseball, but the swim team has a lot of guys that are All-Americans that if I'm not mistaken, and I don't follow it like that, but I know they're very talented.
Yeah, it's Save. Let me see if I can get this right. Save ECU.
I got it, Dave.
Go ahead, Bubba.
Save ECU swim, the word and dive at gmail.com.
Okay. Yeah, if
you don't mind, like Dave said,
at gmail.com.
It was also Tuesday afternoon. We had raised about $250,000.
Wow.
Yeah, here's my thing. I was going to say, Big E, to you and Kyle and Bubba, that I wanted to talk to you while we have you, because you're obviously an alum and care about the university, and you care about you're still in Greenville, if my memory serves me right.
Mm-hmm.
My thing is, if we can raise, can you imagine that in like 3 days? So I don't know about today. As of yesterday at 5 o'clock, when they were on PRL with Troy D, they had raised $250,000 in 3 days. Can you imagine if we could do that for our sports program? In 3 days, they raised $250,000.
It's matter what you said, Dave. What is that though? That's reactive, not proactive. If they'd have done that to begin with,
maybe that's. I know. I agree with you. I agree with you. We shouldn't come to that point. I agree with you.
Yeah,
it's desperate measures, though, guys. Desperate measures. Guys, you can get stuff done when something hits the fan. And it's kind of I think it's more for those kids. A lot of times, us as fans and Pirate Club members and things like that, some people are not everybody's not the really, really wealthy people that just write a check and not necessarily pay attention. There's some of us that's just like, why am I going to give them this $100 or why am I going to do this? And why am I going to get that? And now it's starting to become a reality. It's like, hey, maybe my $100 really did do something. Why did I stop giving it? A little bit of, coins add up over time. And sometimes we lose sight of that, and we lose, probably got a lot of people feeling a little guilty, the fact that we didn't support those certain things as much. There's probably alumni that have never given anything that's finally decided to give something because of this. Yeah. Because if you can go back and think about, if somebody did that to when I was playing, and football is major, but if we would have got cut short, like back then, transferring wasn't as easy. And I'm pretty sure they'd have made rules for it, but you imagine being a junior and having one season left and they canceling you and you transfer and you can't play. So it's a little hectic now, man. I hope we continue to raise the money.
Yeah, no, but it's to your point, and to your point, Dave, the problem is with the university, and it all started back with Comfer and J-Bat and those ass clowns, and now we got Gilbert and Ryan Robinson, and they're good guys.
We like them a lot.
A bit to your point, Dave, there seems to be no direction. There's no rallying cry. There's, we have the slogan "One Pirate Nation," but there's no, we need money. Where's the pounding on the door? Where's the fundraising? Where's the, we're cutting sports talking about a deficit. Man, we need to be up there begging the alums for, not just alums. I didn't go to East Carolina. I'm a Pirate Club member, season ticket holder. My wife's a grad. But anybody and everybody right now should be being asked for money. Pick up the damn phone. Somebody at the Pirate Club, pick up the phone, ask me for more money. I mean, just sometimes you got to ask. Sir, can you spare $1? I mean, we need right now to be aggressive, and so I agree with you on that point, Dave. I'm not as critical of dropping the sports, though. I do wish we would have dropped something besides swimming. I would have been perfectly fine. Apologies to Amanda, but I wish we could have dropped lacrosse because it shouldn't have been added to begin with. But Title 9 and all that kind of mess. I think that we're in a situation right now where we got in a bad situation because of the previous administration.
Right.
We got a bad situation because of a lot of bad decisions and not winning in football, as Eric pointed out earlier, and then COVID-19. And we're not the only ones. Old Dominion, Cincinnati, Appalachian dropped 3 sports yesterday. Winthrop dropped baseball. So there's a lot of people in the pool, so to speak, right now cutting sports because of COVID. And John Gilbert said prior to COVID, we were looking at ways to try to turn the tide financially, but cutting sports weren't on the table. And because of COVID, it kind of pushed it to that level, to that tipping point. But if the swim and dive program can raise enough money to fully fund it, but will it be just for this year? Can they keep that going?
Bubba, I'm going to bring Bubba in because Bubba made a great point. We think a lot of our coaches at East Carolina. This is the irony of this whole thing. I think the group of coaches and I'm not sucking up to them. I don't know them personally. I get nothing for just telling the truth. The coaches that we have right now from revenue and our Olympic sports, non-revenue, some people call it, are across the board the best we've ever had, or in at least a generation. And I believe that if Bubba made a great point this afternoon when we were talking about the situation, preparing for tonight, that with Cliff Godwin for the baseball team, for example, does the baseball banquet. If swimming and diving does come back, and I say if, I don't really know, why don't they have a fundraiser like this every single year so that it's not a burden to have to come up with if it's let's say it's $1 million. I think it's 1.1 million for the budget. I'm not sure. But they would have to come up with that every year. Rick Kobe said yesterday they're going to raise $2 million. Do you really think we should turn $2 million away? I mean, as far as we could fund the sport, and then we'd have more. Plus, there's $1 million that the swim team is not getting all scholarships. It's only like 9. There's like $1 million. These kids are coming to basically pay to swim. He called them swim-ons. So that's $1 million we're losing by cutting the sport as well.
Now, what if you bring back just one? What if you, because of Title IX, what if you just brought back women's swimming?
Well, I mean, like he said yesterday, that's better than nothing. But anyway, I'm hopeful for them. I feel bad for them. If we don't bring it back, my one thing is that if they don't bring it back, I would say to you, Big E, hey, let's like Kyle was saying, let's find a way. What's your plan to get to the $10 million? I haven't heard that. How we're going to get out of debt? Number one. How are we going to pay for the Southside project, which is now Town Bank Tower? That was too aggressive. Speaking of too aggressive, that was way too aggressive. Number 3,
too ambitious.
Yeah, yes, it was. Number 3, you're a former player. The one thing we need the most right now, obviously, is wins, but we also need the indoor practice facility. Everybody who's against, if you're against it, let us know if you're watching right now. Who's against the indoor practice facility that we can use for all the sports plus other events? Who would be against that?
Me. I'm actually against it. We won without it. We can continue to win without it.
Yeah, but the people we were recruiting against at the time didn't have it, Eric. Now everybody has it. Even App State has it. I mean, I understand that. I understand that. And that if we go back and we still sit here and think back to it, we still didn't get the type of caliber athlete the other universities got in state, and we still were able to beat those people. So I mean, you just got to. I mean, recruiting has to change. Some of the high school coaches have to do a better job of what they're doing with their athletes right now. Then when we get to the university level, yes, it would be extremely nice to have an indoor facility for all sports. I get it. I really do believe it would be nice. But right now, let's just get a winning season with our big money sport, and then talk about that. I mean, there's certain things that I didn't understand why we ended up upgrading the locker room when so fast. I mean, we upgraded it twice in less than 10 years, if I'm not mistaken. I felt like that was wasteful money, but I understand you want things to look nice as far as the recruits and stuff like that. But just give them an atmosphere. Us as fans, we got to do our job as far as recruiting people, and we're not doing our job as fans. It's point blank, period. I mean, guys that are diehard are still wanting to watch the game from the house because we might win or lose, and they don't want to waste their gas money to come. But you're diehard. Get your butts in the stands. At the end of the day, we're part of the recruiting process.
Yeah.
No, and certainly not having an indoor practice facility is not an excuse for not being successful. But I do think it's something we need. The problem is we got to figure out how to pay for Town Bank Tower, which you could have easily made a new press box, because that's what we needed, a press box. You could have made it not even for half the price of Town Bank Tower.
Like $20 million, right?
You could have done it for a quarter of the price. Let me tell you, you know how much Memphis's indoor practice facility is costing, and it's nice, $8 million. So I mean,
let's look at what they did, right?
You could have taken. We could have had a tower, a new press box, not as fancy. It didn't need to be. Look at at the end of the day, a press box is for the press. It's for people like us. I don't even use my press pass. Dave does. I don't care. I'd rather sit out there. I mean, who gives a damn? How does that tower help us with recruiting? You want to talk about with recruit? How in the world does having a nicer place for the ESPN guys to call a game from help us with recruiting? Yeah, our press box was dated. We should have put a press box up for half the cost, and then if you wanted to do something else, you could have built that indoor practice facility, and still I think came in for less money than what's in Town Bank Tower. It was outlaying. I mean, the kind of money that was spent on that is the kind of money Alabama spends on their press box. It's ridiculous. But that's neither here nor there. It's done. It's up. Now we just got to figure out how to pay for it. Maybe we can figure out a way to make some money with the damn thing. Maybe we can rent it out for weddings and bar mitzvahs.
Well, why don't we have another thing too that comes to mind, guys? I was thinking about Sunday. I hung out with Bubba and there in Kannapolis, and
I
their
heard y'all
ballpark.
walking together. That's sweet.
Yeah, we did. We actually worked out there. Kyle, you could have joined us. It was
I
over 3 miles.
heard he walked up on you and you were eating nachos, Dave.
Yeah, that's right. Over 3 miles worth. I worked them all. But the biggest thing for
now, Dave. Hold on. As I told Bubba, I said, whenever we've gotten together, you and I, or me and Bubba, we've never done. If you could ever approach me with, do you want to go walk 3 miles? My first question is something going to be chasing us? Because that's the only way I'm walking 3 miles. Are y'all out of your damn minds? All the stuff you can do let's go walk 3 miles out in the heat.
Well, I tell you what, that's part of what I do. I walk I walk about 5 miles every day because of my job. And then obviously I want to stay in shape. I had kids later in life, so I got to say I can't be that old dad. Whether I probably am for sure. We lost.
We ran Aaron.
Hopefully we'll get him back here. Let's give some comments real quick. Big E is coming back, and let me add Big E back. There, Big E. Hey, let me give those. We got some comments. Let me catch up real quick, guys, on YouTube. Let me see if I can get that. There we go. For those of you that want to donate for the ECU swim team, I want to put that up for you. Thank you, Bubba. Save ECU swim and dive at gmail.com. And certainly, let's see, another thing I want to mention too. Let's see if we can put this up. As far as all the alums, by the way, this is something that Rick Kobe didn't understand yesterday on PRL, but want to mention all alums can join the Pirate Club for free in the first year, and they get a $250 credit. We got to have more numbers. We've got to improve on our student Pirate Club. We got to do a better job there. We got to improve on our athletes.
I think that's young grads, Dave. I don't think that's all alums. I think that's young grads that can join for free in the first year and get a $250.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's the young grads. But the athletes, we got a ton of athletes there, Big E. I don't know, maybe we can get you to help out with that, or somebody that like you that cares about the program. You've been very active the entire time after that you played. But the athletes, we got some that are giving, but I know there's some that are not. We have Kyle mentioned, we have a whole bunch of teachers that are fantastic. A lot of ladies are teachers, nurses that are fantastic. We have
ladies. We got a lot of female alums.
Yeah.
There's quite a few guys. I mean, I would definitely say the athletes definitely need to get back into it for sure. They have to, man. And hopefully we can get some of those guys. I'm definitely going to reach out to some of the guys that I'm real close with and see if I can call them out about opening up their wallets, because we all waste money on stuff that we don't need. So why not put something into something that we were passionate about, something that helped us become the people that we are today? I mean, you learn so much in those 4 or 5 years. And, it's got Big Gary right here. But matter of fact, Gary, open up that wallet, buddy, and put something into the program. I'm pretty sure he does, though.
Gary Freeman, one of the greats there, and I know you know him very well, and wanted to put that comment up on the screen. We love Gary Freeman. We love anybody that's put on that pirate and gold, purple and gold rather, for the Pirates. And I tell you what, I'm very excited. I'm very pumped. I'm very pumped about Mike Houston. I was talking to Bubba today, and guys, I wanted to mention this. Can you imagine over the next year or two, Mike Houston is going to have us competing for American championships? And I truly believe, I said this the day he was early on, when he was hired. I believe in year 4 or 5, certainly maybe 5, but hopefully 4, that we have a shot at the New Year's Six Bowl. I always say that wrong. God Almighty, New Year's Six Bowl. I really believe in that. Mike Houston. I did under Montgomery. I don't know why I say New York all the time. New Year's Six Bowl. I believe that under Mike Houston. I didn't under the previous administration, but I do under Mike Houston. I believe that we really can be back to making you proud, Big E, as being a former player.
I mean, win or lose, I'm still proud regardless, but I want us to definitely get to winning. I don't necessarily know about, the New Year's Six and all of that. I just want us to be in the mix at the end of the season.
Yeah, New Year's Six. Hell, I'm gonna be happy with 6 and 6. Let's get to a bowl game of any kind. I mean, at this point, the Cure Bowl in Orlando sounds like the damn Sugar Bowl to me. I'm telling you, it's anything to create some excitement, and I think Coach Houston and the staff will get us there. I think we got too many question marks on the O-line and D-line this year. Maybe some of the grad transfers will help. But, who knows? We just got to keep improving every year.
And Gary Freeman says, I definitely got to give, man. I'm slacking like 110 tests, but I'm coming.
Those 1,600-yard sprints were real back in the day, man.
We've talked to so many former players, particularly from the 90s, during the Logan years. Anybody that was in that Peach Bowl team, that kind of feels like they've been forgotten about, and that the university really didn't care about them. And not only just the alums, the former football players need to do a better job of giving back. But you know what? The university needs to do a better job of recognizing some of those guys and their contributions over the years on the football field. It goes both ways. You're more inclined to give when you feel appreciated.
Well, you know what?
Says, laugh out loud shots fired amongst teammates.
But you know what? We have to shoot shots at each other. I will say this. James Pinckney does not get enough credit for what he did. And it bothers me when nothing against Pat Pinckney, but when that conversation popped up about him being Hall of Famer, like I literally was just like irate. Like, how can you not talk about James before you get to Pat? Like, you have to talk about James.
Rings. That's why James Pinckney's a better quarterback than Patrick Pinckney, period. Patrick Pinckney had better players around him, so he won conference championships. But James Pinckney's better. Just in terms of straight up quarterback, if you give me one of them with equal talent, I'd take James Pinckney, man. James was a warrior, and there was times, Eric, that that O-line wasn't up to snuff, and he was picking himself up off the turf. He's a tough dude.
Oh yeah, man, phenomenal. I mean, you guys, a lot of people don't give him credit, but to endure what he did when we were really, really bad, to get the ball rolling and get it turning, those first 2 learning years under Skip Holtz is what allowed Pat Pinckney and the other quarterbacks right after him and Rob Cass, Brett Clay, to be as successful as they were, because James took the heat from the first 2 years of learning the system, and James is very well one of the best that we've had here, and nobody talks about him. He recently just got some notoriety. I think last week maybe they brought his name up, but look how long it's been for you to finally speak on James. Why is James not being invited back? Why? I mean, I don't understand. He might not have went to the NFL and played long years, this and another, but there's some guys that are more supportive of this program versus the guys that we give all of this love to. And I'm not knocking those guys, but there's some guys that we have on sidelines coming to, giving all this special privileges to, and they do not support the program. They just like being talked about. And we need to get the guys that literally are real fans of the game after they finish versus what has ECU done for me. That's all they want. What can you do for me? What can you do for me? It's time for you to do for the university. But at the same time, the university sometimes disrespects some of the former people that helped put our faces on the map by not doing things for these people. And it's just unfair. I mean, I was going to say I get a little bit of love, but that's because I'm local and I'm very active because I'm right down the street. But there's some of these guys you need to force their hands by saying, hey, you got free meals if you come up, or we got the hotel, or it's such, some type of event for these guys to make them want to spend their money to come back. But it doesn't have to, you don't have to write a big check to make this happen, but you just need to honor some of the people that actually went through the BS that we went through when we had bad hires in the past. How about do that? Respect some of those guys and what they've done, and maybe in return you'll have some of our teammates that actually understand that and feel the same way that I do coming out a little bit more. Why is Chris Moore not praised? One of the best linebackers we've ever had. I mean, let's be honest here. Why not? Jay Ross, D tackle, he doesn't get as much love as CJ just because he didn't play. He won a Super Bowl too. You know what I mean? Why do we not recognizing that guy? Guy Wimper, he won a Super Bowl, if I'm not mistaken. We don't give him love the way we might Avonte. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, these guys made our university look good, but tell me when the last time they came. The only time I can get some of my guys to come when I literally say this in a message to about 40 of them and call them out.
No,
but they be like, why? And they legit say, why should we come back? Why? Give us a reason why. I mean, there was a time when we first finished, we weren't allowed back on the practice field the spring after we finished.
Oh my God.
There's more fans, and that's one thing I hope these guys realize. The fans care. There's guys like me and Dave and Bubba and guys that aren't in the media, guys that they don't hear from that remember every one of those guys you just mentioned. So it's not just the administration. The administration needs to do a good job of recognizing these people, but believe me, these fans know who they are. I mean, every fan, they remember James Pinkney. They remember Chris Moore. They remember, Bobby Good. They remember, Kevin Rhodes. Pick a player, man. Dominique Lindsay. I mean, there's so many great Pirates that don't get mentioned. And by the way, to be clear, not putting out Patrick Pinkney at all. Patrick was a great quarterback, and glad he was here for 2 conference championships. But James Pinkney, I think back different games, and I'll pick one he won instead of lost. But I can remember us playing Virginia in 2006 in Dowdy Pickling.
I was our senior year.
Yeah, and I remember there was a play. I'm trying to remember the exact play, but we were in the red zone, and the ball went over his head. It seems like
snap time.
Yeah, and he grabs it and just breaks a tackle and runs into the end zone. I mean, it was nothing but a one-man play. It was all James. And I guess you guys were blocking for him, but it was still a lot of improvisation. It wasn't called that way for sure.
It definitely wasn't called that way. Definitely wasn't. Honestly, I believe that play call was Bulldog Even is what it was called. But I don't know why I remember this, but that's what it was. And I believe that's what it was. And but yeah, phenomenal play. And I mean, there's so many guys, Brandon Fractious. I can go down the list, and I'm not just naming guys that I had, but you do understand that Chris Johnson split time with Brandon Fractious. Mm-hmm. There was a reason, because Brandon could run the ball just as good as he could, but he didn't have the breakaway speed like Chris. Jay Sunhalter doesn't get enough love. I mean, I don't know.
There's so that well here on the podcast.
But I mean, we can sit here and go down the list of these players in the years after us, and you really and truly don't respect some of the things that these guys went through and what they've done. And I believe the university probably should do something like an appreciation for a particular graduating year, or a group of graduating years, like 2001 to 2006. That group of guys, because the majority of them played together at some point in time. Put a whole group together.
I got something interesting to tell you guys. I'll tell you off the air, but that would just blow your minds. That I was told the other day, and I won't mention it on the air, but it'll blow your minds.
We have a premium. Yeah, we have a premium wall that if you want to hear it, you got to pay for it, because we're not going to give you that stuff free, right, Kyle?
Something like that.
Not really. People are going to start believing that, but not really. But if you want to believe that, that's fine. Sir, I tell you what I've said all along. I think that they're when it comes to the program, Coach Houston is welcoming everybody back. He did at our 1978 Independence Bowl party that we had, and reunion we had at Professor Cool's December 2018. That was a great first step. I would say the spring game, the Purple Pirate Pigskin and Pig Out Party, too many peas, is very disappointing. It used to be, I mean, big time. And I believe that the football players, we should have some huge event. I was told on Big Guy Matt Maloney told me that there's like some kind of a football player banquet they have for you guys, former guys. I don't know. I was told that, but we need to have some kind of big party for you guys because you guys need to be celebrated. And Kyle's right. There's plenty of Pirate fans. They're passionate. Right now, you guys are all we have. You guys are all we have because you guys won. And I know you had.
How about this, Dave? How about this, Dave? Next year at the spring game, we have a Legends game. We have Pirate Legends against Wolfpack Legends in a game of flag football.
I tried to set that up about 7 years ago, and and kind of almost had it going because a lot of us play in what we call a 9-on-9 full contact flag football thing that travels up and down the coast, and we come across a lot of guys. Like I can sit here and pick on a Jimmy Sutton who played at NC State, and we played on the same flag team for like 8 years. And I pick on him about Andre Allison catching that pass in 2006 and running away from him. And we've got so many pictures with the, where we take the Wolfpack and turn it down, and he'll take the hook and turn it down, and stuff like that. But, and afterwards, there's so many guys, and I didn't know this, but he played high school ball with James Pinckney. They're from the same town. So they're really close, and we became friends because of that connection. But yeah, we would love to do that. I mean, I'm pretty sure guys will do it. Even when we had the basketball game, I think they shut down the opportunities for us to use midgies for the alumni basketball. But that party that they do for us, they do it on Friday night in the middle of the spring. What most of us are doing at that particular time on Friday, working. Everybody doesn't live locally. Give us a chance to get there Saturday morning or do something Saturday night, something like that, not a Friday night. And I think it starts at 6 at that. You know what I mean? And like, that's hard for me to do, and I live in Greenville.
If you could get together and do it,
let's do it on Saturday night after the spring game. Then
you could do two. Maybe one of the. If East Carolina and State didn't have their spring game the same weekend, you could do one in Greenville, one in Raleigh. And I think it would increase attendance through the spring game. I know I'd be there. I'd love to see it, and it'd be great for the alums. It'd be great for the fans, and it creates some excitement. You get to see the Pirates from the Wolfpack, baby.
Well, maybe we could try to set it up. I mean, I'd be happy if it was Pirates versus Pirates, but definitely we can still get the Wolfpack thing going. And the way they score 7-on-7s, defense scores and offense scores. So why not just compete against our guys if that's it? I mean, I'm pretty sure it'd be nice to see a old washed up. Let's see, what's my linebacker from Williamson?
Pernell Griffin.
Pernell trying to drop in coverage and Dave throwing a pass. I mean, it'd be pretty awesome to see. But maybe we could set something up. Who knows? I'll start reaching out to some of my guys that are still active in sports and see what they're thinking. And I'm pretty sure we probably, in my era and older, probably only got about one series, and then we're gonna have to hand it over to the guys from the 2000s, the later part of the 2000s, let them take over. But it'll still be good, a good trash talking at best. Maybe mic a few guys up where you could hear them over the PA system or something. That'd be fun.
I'd say the attendance would be more with you guys there for sure for that game. That would be something new and exciting and different. And we need that I've been saying that for years about the spring game. It used to be an event. That would be another drawing card to bring people to Greenville. And like you said, on Saturday night, let's have a big party for you guys. That way more people more players can attend. Don't you think? If we had it on Saturday night versus Friday night?
Yeah. I mean, even if they don't do it that way, how about put the spring game at night? Maybe you'll still get more people to get to town for that, and then have a nightlife event afterwards and make people stay overnight. Thus, they come to town, get hotels, and stay for the true weekend versus come to the game. Oh, we still look bad, and they're leaving. Give them something to look forward to, and go for it.
Yeah, no doubt. There's all kinds of things you can do. Maybe the spring game followed by a concert, Dave.
Yeah, hey, Biggie, he wants Bon Jovi. I don't know if we can. If we can raise $2 million for the swim and dive team, we can raise money for Bon Jovi, right? Maybe we can do that. Put the money up for him.
Let's just get a good cover band and let them dress up like Bon Jovi, okay?
I know you gotta make your money. You gotta make your money. You gotta spend money here. You sell tickets to that, baby.
Well, actually, there's a great cover band. There's actually a great tribute band called Slippery When Wet. So if you want Bon Jovi, that will be maybe we can get Bon Jovi for the spring game. Anyway, I grew up as a teenager when we had the Four Tops and Temptations at the Purple and Gold Pigskin Pig Out Party. It was awesome, and a lot of things we can't have today because of.
Yeah, Dave actually, grew up when the Four Tops and Temptations were popular back in the '60s.
Yeah.
That's when Dave was.
I wasn't. No, I'm not that old, but in the '80s, man, that was a great event that Dave Hart started, and unfortunately, it's just declined and declined and declined. I don't think it's a bad event. I just think that there's new things that should be done and new wrinkles. And Big E, I'm all for it. As long as I don't have to play, I'm all for it. So
we'll definitely got to sign a waiver. Definitely have to sign a waiver.
I work at the hospital. I don't want to be a patient at the hospital, so I'll let Kyle do that. No. Anyway, Big E, how can people follow you, man? We're looking forward to it. Have you already committed to 94.3 the game this year, or what's your plans for the fall? Do you know yet?
Well, they haven't booted me off yet, so I believe I'm still good to go. I talked to Patrick earlier today about a little bit of radio. So as of now, yeah, I'm still good to go, But as far as follow me, I'd be lying to you if I try to tell you my Instagram and Twitter name right now. Terrible.
Okay. All right, man. Well, appreciate you so much. I know we kept you hopefully not too long. Thank you so much. Enjoyed it, and we'll definitely have you before football season for sure.
All right, no doubt. I appreciate you guys having me.
All right. Have a good night, buddy.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye. All right. And that's Big E. And now it's down to you. I don't know what in the world happened to Bubba. He was supposed to be with us. But anyway, love you, man. Love you, Bubba. I don't know what happened to him.
Was he at home or is he at the beach?
He's supposed to be, I think, at his parents' house, and we had trouble last time.
Okay.
They had some issues with the internet. You know how those internet companies are, so it's not their fault. The Rosenbaums are fantastic. Bubba wanted to remind us that we caught up with Chip Carey, grandson of Harry and son of Skip, Tuesday afternoon, and we'll have it out very soon. Plus, Joe Dooley and Stephen Igo in coming shows. Coach Dooley will be, I believe, with us tomorrow. And we'll talk to him, and that's probably out
for the weekend. Interview with Kerry, Dave. If you're all our listeners, if you were a Cubs fan or if you're a Braves fan, Chip obviously is 12 Playboys for the Braves now. He took over for Harry when Harry passed away back in '98. Chip took over for his granddad as the voice of the Cubs. It did that up until '05, where he took over, I guess, for his dad, or is he still working with his dad, Dave? Does his dad still call Braves?
No, his dad passed away, unfortunately, a few years back at the age of 69.
Okay,
I can't remember the exact year.
So he took over for his dad. So anyway,
they called together. They did call together, but they did call together, I think, for a while. But he passed away. There's Bubba. Hey, Bubba.
There we go. But anyway, it's a great interview. Obviously, I don't have all my facts right, so listen to the interview yourself. It's quite good. I think he was very, very engaging, and I enjoyed it a lot. Next, Bubba, you got to get Steve Stone.
That would be fantastic. I love that. And we need Will Ferrell as well.
What I can do.
All right. Want to remind fans we have our season ticket. If you see the crawl there at the bottom, the ticker season ticket sweepstakes. You can win 2 East Carolina football season tickets, $198 value. There are 2 tickets in the fan zone. Follow us on Twitter at the Sports OBJ, Facebook to find out how to play and increase your chances. Bubba Rosenbaum, better late than never. You're making your cameo tonight. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, our Iron Man. How are you, Bubba?
I'm doing well. I wanted everyone to see my face for radio. And as you can see, just enjoying some kettle corn, watching the show.
All right. Well, nothing like, I guess you got a ticket for the show instead of being on the show. But certainly love the East Carolina hats. And guys, we're going to have a great couple months coming up. So many guests there. The great news is Bubba's been working really hard. We just need Jim Cornette from Kyle, and we'll be good. I'm joking, of course. We love Corny very, very much, and look forward to having him on. We'll have him on.
Right.
And no, I'm joking with you. He's not a guy to do a lot of interviews, so I love Jim Cornette. And anytime Jim Cornette wants to come on, he's welcome on this podcast, on our show, anytime he wants. So and the great Brian Less, they can come on with us, maybe both of them. But anyway, a lot of great guests coming up, as we told you. We told you about our great promotion. Lots of great shows coming up over the next few days. And like this one, Want to give a big shout out to Adam Gold. Thank you very much for the Adam Gold Show. You can listen to him on 94.3 The Game in Greenville, 99.9 The Fan in Raleigh. He's all over the state, from Murphy to Manio. You can listen to him. TuneIn Radio app, and if you want to, there is actually a podcast, a daily podcast. You can subscribe on your favorite podcast player. The Adam Gold Show, the best of that. So appreciate him. Hey, Big E, appreciate him very much. Guys, do you have anything before we go? Wrap things up?
No, guys, just anxiously awaiting the latest to see if we're going to play football this fall.
That'll be great to see. Go ahead.
You obviously mentioned Chip Carey, but did you mention Joe Dooley and Stephen Igo?
He did.
Yes, we did. We have them coming up. Certainly did. And like I said, the great news is we've got so many guests lined up right now. We could do a show every single day. We do a show about 3 times a week, so we'll keep doing that format. And certainly we'll have a weekend podcast coming up very, very soon in the next couple of days, obviously. But right now, enjoy this one. We've had a great time. Bubba, thank you so much, man, for putting the show together. I know you had some bad weather you were driving through, so glad to see you're safe and everything's okay. You're good to go, intact. And, of course, Kyle, love the hat. Love the hat a lot.
Thanks.
I feel very alone. I need to put my hat on here. I didn't even think about that. But anyway, we'll do that for the next show, I promise. All right. Thank you so much for everybody watching tonight. And certainly we'll have the shows coming up. Go to all our Facebook and our social media for your chance to win season ticket sweepstakes. Find out about that. Until next time, you've been watching or listening to The Sports Objective. Good night, everybody. Go Pirates.